Again, so I'll be inviting Sarah along soon. So Sarah is fairly new to home ed and really excited for the different perspective that that'll give us. So I'll invite her, and while there's that awkward silence, you can grab a drink or something. Should only be a few moments. This is taking longer than normal. I keep typing things wrong. There we go. So I do have my 3-year-old. Hi.
Hello.
Sarah. I was just about to say I've got my 3-year-old in the background. So
That's all right.
That's fine. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. So I'm going to start the timer straight away. It's a beautiful day, so I don't want to take up people's time too much. But
Yep.
there it is starting. So let's launch straight into it. Who are you? Where are you? Who do you home educate? And just anything else that you think is important to tell us.
My name is Sarah, and I live in Northamptonshire, and I'm going to be home educating my 4-year-old who turns school age in September. And my 18-month-old, I'm not home educating him yet, but he's tagging along for the ride at the moment. So,
oh, brilliant. So
yeah.
what made you start to think about home ed? And because obviously your kid hasn't even gone to school yet, so
No.
you're one of a bit like me who started thinking about it before school. What made you start to think about it?
Well, it was never like a natural thing for me to want to do as such in the early days. I never imagined myself doing it. I've never known anyone else who has done it really. So it wasn't on my radar at all. But when my little boy was born, we were lucky enough that my parents were able to look after him when I was working. So he didn't have to straight away go into nursery like a lot of kids do. And he seemed to really thrive at home, and like our health visitor and friends and people that met him would be like, oh, he's really sociable. How much is he doing? Is he doing nursery? Is he doing this? How is he so kind of happy and sociable and clever? And we were like, oh, don't know really. Just, he's at home with us, and we're just doing our own thing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we had friends obviously were sending their kids to nursery, and they were saying how good it was for the kids and how they were really advancing and everything. We were like, oh gosh, we started to question ourselves at that point, like, are we doing the wrong thing? Should we start sending him? But he was still thriving, so we were like, okay, it's fine, we'll just keep him at home for a bit longer, seeing our friends. He was having lots of social interactions in life, and everything. So and then we were like, no, we'll put him into preschool when he reaches 2, because that seemed like a good age at that point. Like, it'll be good for him, and he'll be able to socialise and everything. And then he reached 2 right when the pandemic hit. So then we were like, oh, okay, we can't do that right now because he can't go. So we're like, okay, it's fine. He's still doing fine. We'll just keep him at home a bit longer. And then I noticed on all the press conferences and in the media that like Chris Whitty and the education secretary were all saying the school is the best place for children. We need to get children back into school as soon as possible. It's really bad for children to be at home. And I was like, is it? I don't know. And so I started questioning that as well, because we'd had all of the same thing with my child in nursery and preschool. And I was thinking, he's not really seeming to be behind in any way. So then it made me just start questioning things further. And then I started reading into it, obviously. I started actually probably just search, why is school the best place for children? Or how, is this the best way for children to learn? And then nothing came up particularly in terms of positivity in school, but all the things that came up were home ed stuff, and how great that is for them. And then I was reading like Julie Bogart's The Brave Learner and Wild and Free book, and like I got a bunch of books, and I was like, oh gosh, okay. And I started listening to some podcasts, and before I knew it, I was like, I can't not give this a go now. I know too much. Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much, because I remember when all those messages were out, like school is the best place and your kids are suffering if they're not in school, and my social media was a lot of me ranting about how that was wrong and going to give the wrong impression, but then hearing that it's like done the opposite is really encouraging.
And I mean, I didn't love school. I don't think I thrived at school. I think I was similar to my son, super sociable before school, and then it kind of gradually eked away at me until by the time I left school I was quite quiet and just didn't just kept myself to myself. And
yeah,
so I don't think it had a great impact on me. I think my social skills have developed since leaving school, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Yeah, because it's a very particular way you have to socialize in school.
Yeah,
and if you don't kind of click into that, then it's hard to access, I think.
Yeah, it's much more broad, isn't it, out in the real world and with everyday life, really. So
So what has surprised you when you've been doing kind of the research? And because if like me, you probably just thought it was either a very extreme choice to make or that you're really aware of it. What has surprised you as you've been reading into it more and finding out more about home education?
Just the amounts of different ways that people do it, and that there is no right or wrong way, really. And that's the bit that's exciting me at the moment, because that was one of your other questions, wasn't it? Like, it's exciting and daunting, in equal measure, because there's just so many ways to do things. So there's the people that seem to be going, we're kind of doing school at home, and then you've got unschooling, and then you've got all the different methods. And I'm not sure where we fit at this point, because we're still really early. We've just started doing some with Maths with Confidence. We started with my little boy with the kindergarten one.
That's what we do.
Yeah, he's interested in that. So we're doing a bit of that. And he's just learning his phonics and stuff with games, because I guess that's what he'll be doing next year anyway. And that's all we've really started to officially do, which I'm trying to sort of put into every day a little bit. And then other than that, we'll just kind of follow his interest, because he's always got a passion at any given moment. He's really interested in different things. So just going with that,
Yeah, I think I found it easier. I think it's hard when I had to unschool myself as a teacher, but my kids didn't need unschooling, and we didn't have a structure that we had to take away from. We just had to add to. And so when people used to ask me, why are you home educating, I'd be like, well, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. It's working well and it's fun now, so it's just kind of, it feels really natural, I think, to progress through it.
I hope so. I think from going from the beginning, hopefully we'll have a benefit from that point of view, because we'll have we haven't got to go backwards too much. But
have you had any has your community and family been supportive?
They have
negative feedback.
My parents and my husband's parents are really supportive, which is the key people to us, which is really good. And my sisters, and my youngest sister is a primary school teacher at the moment, so that's she was like, okay, I think she's like, no, you can do a good job. She's not worried about the education side, but she's worried about the sort of social side and that kind of thing, and the teamwork skills and all those kind of things, which I definitely was kind of my worry to start with when I was thinking about it. But then the more I researched, I was like, well, actually, socializing in this way and that way. And he seems like a very sociable child already, and he's so I'm not worried at this point. But I think things like teamwork and things, I was like, how are we going to fit that in? But I was really pleased to see there's a big community in our area, and we can get together with people and have some co-op things maybe, and all sorts of things. And everything I thought about that I was worried about him, I was like, oh, he won't do a school play, that'll be sad. And I went on my Facebook home ed group, and they're like, oh, we run a play every year. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, that's cool, we can do that.
And also you can start one as well. That there's a lot of ingenuity, I think, in the home ed world.
If something's missing, if something's missing, you can just kind of find it. And,
exactly. It's funny what you said about your little sister, because I was that little sister. My brother and sister-in-law homeschooled for a little bit, and I was the primary school teacher, and I wasn't very supportive.
No.
I probably just nodded and smiled, and then I would rant to everyone else about what a bad decision it was. And then now obviously I'm way the opposite, and their kids are in school. But it's hard, I think, as a teacher when you're in school to see outside of the box a little bit. And I teach piano, singing and drama and things in schools, so I am in school a lot, so that I sort of see a lot of it, but I'm seeing it from an outside perspective, looking at what's happening rather than in the system kind of thing as such. But will you be working as well? I mean, I hate the working, because it's working even if you're not paid for it, but will you be still working that job while you're home ed?
We're going to try and fit it in, so I think my parents will still do some childcare for me and help with the home ed side of things in the mornings when I'm teaching some of the days, and then I'll do weekends and evenings and try and fit it around it. And to see how it goes for the first part. But I hope I really, really want it to work. I mean, I'm so excited about the whole thing.
I love hearing it, because you were miles ahead where I was when I started, because I wasn't school at home, but I was much more well, this is how it's got to be, and I sat and designed my own foundation stage profile for my one kid, and like spent ages doing that kind of thing. Whereas now I'm like where you are now is where I feel like I am now a few years in. Like it can work in all different ways. You can do it at weekends or at night, and
and I've got the national curriculum. I printed it off for like his age. And I was like, well, he's already doing that and that and kind of this. And I can see that he'll be definitely getting to that point quite soon. So none of it's like too daunting at this point. I guess when it gets to the more advanced stuff, I think, oh gosh, that seems like a long way off. But I don't know if I'm trying to stick to that or not. I don't, like I don't think I am. Not the national curriculum as it is. But
someone on our team, my boss was talking to someone who does statistics and so on, and they said there's actually like a pattern that a lot of home educators in Britain follow, where they start off that little bit more structured and then eventually become more unschooling. And all of us think we're kind of unique of like, well, now I'm at more unschooling.
Now I've figured this out.
We're all doing the same thing. Because like once you step into it, it's hard not to see all the options, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm totally trying not to be too naive to that, and that's why I'm trying not to plan too much. But but it's hard to step away from the like, oh, I'll get a planner and I'll do this. I've got the Twinkl planner.
I realise now it's for me, and I'm totally okay with that. Like it's my hobby. And if it gets done, it doesn't matter if it doesn't get done. Do you think there's anything? This is one thing that I really want to know about. Do you think there's anything the home ed community? Oh, our time's up, but I'm still going to ask it.
Okay.
Do you think there's anything the home ed community could do to be more welcoming and accessible, or like spread the joy of home ed or the news about it more? Because I do feel like we're almost not intentionally secretive, but people don't know it exists, and there's also sometimes I think negative experiences.
Maybe we do need to talk about it more on social media in our sort of main pages. I don't know how much you do, but at this point in time, I haven't announced this on any of my social media to extended friends. Very close people know, and that's, I guess, because you're worried of what people think. It's a bit like if you extended breastfeed, do you really post this on your social media? Maybe you kind of keep them back, and maybe we all just need to be a bit more open, because I didn't even know it was an option. Really, or didn't really think of it as an option until I started looking into it. And so perhaps a lot of people just don't really understand it as much, and we need to be more open with it and make it more accessible for everyone by talking about it more.
I think that's
like mental health, like everything that we say, we should talk about mental health, we should talk about this, we should talk about home ed much more. More people.
Definitely. And I think when people start to realize that there's so many different people doing it in so many different ways, then like you see people's cogs turning when you start talking about it, when they realize that I've not sat at home for 3 hours doing like maths, English, science. They start to be like, oh, so
and also different types of people, because it's just from every walk of life, isn't it? And so people will be like, oh, it's for that kind of person, an affluent person, or someone who hasn't got as much money, or someone who's got a child with additional needs, or this. It's all of these things. It's everyone, It's for everyone. So,
Well, welcome to the home ed world.
Thank you.
It's really interesting and encouraging talking to people who've like been doing it for years, and then people who are like just starting out, and it makes me really hopeful just for home ed generally.
I know. I hope it's on the up. I hope that the pandemic has made people think about things differently.
Fingers crossed that that's a positive that came out of the last 2 years. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you happy for people to pop over to your Instagram page?
That's fine.
So it's Spirit of Adventure.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll try and post a few more things now that we're getting started properly, so people can see what we're up to.
I think it's really inspiring for people to see what people get up to, and especially when seeing how people figure it out, and
and see the journey that I go on. From like, actually, I'm not going to do that at all.
And you'll find it interesting looking back. That's what I found useful, is looking back and being like, oh, I used to do that. That was a good idea. Thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, and you enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.